Gunda's Games!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Again here with another League of Legends champion guide for you. I'll cut right to the chase today. Today we're talking about Wukong. No, not that Wukong. Or that one. Or that one. No, that's Goku. There you go. Yes, Wukong the Monkey King. He's Riot's attempt to bring the popular Chinese literary figure to the world of Runeterra, and boy do they do a great job. Join me now and learn how to Wukong. Wukong is an attack damage based tanky fighter. He's what many might call an AD caster, deriving a huge chunk of his damage from his abilities. He has some awesomely high base stats, and his kit grants him a dash, armor reduction, bonus attack damage, area damage, and even stealth with a decoy to confuse your enemies. Primarily, you'll find him lurking in the top lane during laning phase, but he makes a decent jungler too. In Journey to the West, the original story Wukong is from, he is born from stone. His passive, Stone Skin, reflects this. He gains a small amount of armor and magic resistance depending on his level for each nearby enemy champion that he can see. Currently, this is 4 at level 1, 6 at level 7, and 8 at level 13. In the laning phase, this isn't much of a passive, but during team fights, this is ridiculous. Past level 13, that's a full 40 armor and magic resistance if their whole team is there. It's like getting a chain vest and Negatron cloak for free. It's important to note that this doesn't trigger off of enemies he can't see, be it in a bush or stealthed. Also, copies of champions like LeBlanc's mirror image don't count either. Either way, in team fights, the bonus is bonkers, allowing him to wade through your enemies with ease. Wukong is traditionally equipped with a staff that can grow to any size. This may or may not be a metaphor. While Riot can't have it extend infinitely, for balance reasons of course, he can lengthen it for some of his abilities. The first of these is his Q, Crushing Blow. On activation, his next attack will have an additional 125 range, deal bonus physical damage, and reduce the target's armor by 30% for 3 seconds. That armor reduction is a massive damage boost for anything that follows against any opponent. Like many similar abilities, Crushing Blow will reset Wukong's attack timer, so using it immediately after a basic attack will essentially make him hit faster. It also functions in all other respects like a basic attack, so it can critically strike, though the bonus damage won't. It applies any on-hit effects you have, such as Sheen and Phage, and it won't interrupt his movement to activate. This is great for initiating fights, chasing, and generally adding more damage. Take a point at this at 2nd level, but max it out 2nd, as we have something stronger to finish first. In the Chinese lore, Sun Wukong was capable of creating clones of himself using the hairs on his body. In League of Legends, Riot emulates this while showing off his tricky nature with his W, Decoy. When activated, Wukong immediately becomes stealthed for 1.5 seconds or until he attacks. He leaves behind an uncontrollable clone that neither moves nor attacks. After that normal 1.5 seconds, the clone will detonate, dealing magic damage to nearby enemies. The decoy counts as a champion for any ability that can affect a champion, such as Ashe's Enchanted Crystal Arrow or Fiora's Blade Waltz. This is extremely useful for messing with your opponents, either tricking them into attacking a fake or getting them to disengage when they shouldn't. You can use this to either engage invisibly or to escape. We'll talk about it more later, but for now, note only that you should take a point in it early for the utility and max it out last. In Journey to the West, Wukong is capable of traveling on clouds as well. So much more convenient than cars. You can pick one up anywhere and they never run out of gas. With Nimbus Strike, Wukong hops on a cloud to dash toward a target and deal physical damage to them. If there are enemies nearby, he will create up to 2 copies to hit them as well. Once he's struck, Wukong gains bonus attack speed as well for 4 seconds. This is extremely powerful, allowing him to close gaps and deal a significant amount of damage over a very short period of time, as well as helping him set up for his other abilities. Take this one at 1st level and max it out as soon as possible. Finally, Wukong's ultimate, Cyclone, shows just what a powerhouse he is. Wukong elongates his staff and does his best Garen impression, better than Garen could ever hope to do. He spins around for up to 4 seconds, dealing massive physical damage every second and knocking up foes once per cast. He can move around while spinning of course, and even gains 5% bonus move speed every half second until the Cyclone is done. He can't, of course, use his other abilities or attack while in the Cyclone, but you can press the button again to cancel it at any point. I can't emphasize enough how powerful this single spell is, and how amazingly it scales with both level and your attack damage. At max rank, this can deal upwards of 2,000 damage to each target that's near him for the full 4 seconds. Quite obviously, we want to be taking points in this every chance we can. Now I know some of you are already taking to your keyboards to tell me that I'm stupid and you should totally max out Crushing Blow first instead of Nimbus Strike. Sure, cool, you can do that, but you're doing it wrong. On leveling, Crushing Blow reduces its already short cooldown slightly and increases its damage. The important part, the armor reduction, remains unchanged. Nimbus Strike, on the other hand, gains significantly more damage each level, half again as much as Crushing Blow, and increases the attack speed buff, all for the pitiful cost of 5 more mana each time. Considering Nimbus Strike hits multiple targets as well, I'm going with that one. Moving on to runes, I use Armor Penetration Marks, Flat Armor Seals, Scaling Magic Resistance Glyphs, and Attack Damage Quintessences. This will provide some base bonus against your enemy's armor, because they will build armor against you, some extra tankiness that stacks nicely with your passive, and some damage to help out with your last hitting. You might also consider flat magic resistance glyphs if your lane opponent deals significant magic damage, and movement speed quintessences if you're comfortable without the extra AD. For Masteries, we go for a similar setup in 9-21-0, stacking up heavily on your tankiness while grabbing a bit of AD, some cooldown reduction to use your abilities more, and yet more armor penetration. Penetration is really powerful on Wukong, as his abilities already have ridiculously high base stats, and will be stacking up on that in the item section in addition to this. If the enemy team is really squishy, you might go for 21-9-0 instead, just so you can make them explode before they even know what hit them. Your basic summoner spells are Ignite and Flash, as you want to stack up as much damage as you can as quickly as possible, as well as give yourself another way to escape. If top lane is getting boring, you might grab Teleport so as to pitch on down to bot lane on occasion for a quick double kill. Exhaust is also a fine choice to help the monkey stick to targets a bit better. When it comes to equipping our monkey, we need to remember that he has pretty high base stats all around. We don't need to build him super tanky to make up for a lack there, nor do we need to build a furry glass cannon. Instead, we'll be building to accentuate his kit. When you start the game, you have a wide variety of options, starting with Elixir of Fortitude and health pots make you ridiculously strong in the early game if you think you can grab a quick kill or two. If it's a strong matchup, but not a guaranteed win, Doran's Blade is a great start. Longsword and health potions isn't quite as strong, but more quickly gets you to important items. And lastly, you could start with a Crystalline Flask for an all-around defensive lane, or Cloth Armor if against a heavy AD matchup like Darius or Renekton. Your first goal though, regardless of how you start, will be a Brutalizer, followed preferably by a Vampiric Scepter. Both of these give him awesome early stats. Brutalizer letting him engage with his spells more often, and the Scepter letting him accentuate his defensive stats with some lifesteal. These will eventually become a Black Cleaver and Bloodthirster respectively, but you don't necessarily need to rush to those. For boots, I recommend either Boots of Mobility or Mercury Treads. The former will get you into fights faster, and the latter will make sure that once you're in there, you don't get locked down for too long. Take your pick. At this point, you're quite strong and your enemies are probably buying armor in an attempt to put a stop to the Monkey King's reign of terror. Let's fix that with a Last Whisper. Combine this with your Black Cleaver, your Q, and your runes and masteries, and you'll be pretty much dealing true damage to everyone. If there is a problem Wukong has, it's in sticking to his targets once he's engaged. Many champions are faster than him, and once he's cast his Nimbus Strike, that's all he has to catch up. There are items for this though. Frozen Mallet will give all your basic attacks a massive slow. Trinity Force will help you keep up while adding tons of damage. Iceborne Gauntlet slows, adds damage, and makes you extra tanky. Take your pick. Finally, we have room for one more item. Pick one defensive option to accentuate your kit with. Warmog's armor works extremely well with his passive, allowing him to stay alive for ridiculously long in a fight. Guardian Angel works just as well, letting you last even longer should you get focused, but only every so often. For heavy AD matchups, consider Randuin's Omen, and for super heavy AP games, especially ones that suppress you, you can get Mercurial Scimitar. Each of Wukong's skills have special uses we can talk about. First, let's talk about Crushing Blow and Nimbus Strike together. These are your main damaging abilities and what you'll use in most cases to fight and trade blows in lane. For absolute maximum damage in a combo, begin with a simple basic attack followed by Crushing Blow. Since it resets your attack timer, it'll hit almost immediately. Follow this up with Nimbus Strike as they'll be trying to run, and they'll take more damage post Crushing Blow, and follow up with basic attacks. If you just want to do a hit and run, you can always dive with Nimbus Strike, hit him, whack him again with Crushing Blow, and run away. Remember when you're chasing your enemies down that Crushing Blow does extend the reach of your next basic attack. Even if they're starting to get out of reach, you just might have enough range to whack them once. And that once may be all you need, especially if you have something like Frozen Mallet. Each of these skills can also be useful while taking down turrets. Crushing Blows most obviously allows you to reset your attack timer and deal extra damage against structures. Nimbus Strike can't target structures, but remember it can give you attack speed. So, if at all possible, try and hit some nearby minions with it before wailing on your turret. 4 seconds of 50% extra attack speed is nothing to scoff at. Decoy is an interesting skill with many uses. You can leave a clone in a bush so as to engage invisibly. You can activate it to escape invisibly. You can use it to cross bushes unseen. You can trick your opponents into attacking a fake, but wait! There's more! When you activate Decoy, it appears to your opponents as if you pressed the Stop key, which on your default setup is bound to the S key. Sometimes you can trick your opponents into thinking you have used Decoy by doing this and they'll stop attacking you, often walking off where they think you've left to. Practice and see what kind of mind games you can play with your opponents. Lastly, a few notes with Cyclone. Whenever it's up, especially once you're past level 11, look for an opportunity to engage. The more targets, the better. Dive in with Nimbus Strike and knock them all up, shredding and scattering them while you deal tons of damage and your team follows up to mop the floor. It does increase your move speed as well, and it has a fairly short cooldown, so don't be afraid to use it to escape or chase as well. Wukong is an absolute powerhouse throughout the game, just as legend suggests he should be. Be sneaky and engage when you feel the time is right to lead your team to victory. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you have enjoyed this guide, please let me know by hitting the like button. Speak up in the comments below if you have advice or questions. We're all here to learn. Subscribe for future content, including champion guides, gameplay guides, and other possibly not LOL content. Follow me on Twitch for streams and Twitter and Facebook to see what else is going on. Till next time, I've been Gen, and you've been watching me talk about a video game. So come on!
Bring me a real challenge.
I'm straight loco, sign your death warrant like Coco. Carry the team on my back like a hobo. I wield the power of the plague, jungle runestone. I break bones, Nimbus Strike in the Cyclone. King Louis pissed off, chemically imbalanced. My staff grows so quick you'll think I'm sponsored by Cialis. King of the jungle, no house, tree palace, more majestic to behold in the